J.K. Rowling is one of the most successful authors of all time, a brilliant mind who created the magical world of Harry Potter and forever changed modern literature. But behind the magic lies a much more complex story. From the dark days of extreme poverty, writing in cafes because she couldn't afford heating, to becoming a global figure, her life is full of unexpected twists. Today, we'll uncover the price of J.K. Rowling's success, her battle against adversity, rejection, and the decisions that divided her followers. This is not just the story of an author, but of a woman who faced her demons both publicly and privately. A difficult childhood at home, tensions were frequent, and her parents' relationship also faced challenges, though they tried to maintain appearances for the sake of their two daughters, Joanne and her younger sister Diane. This lack of emotional stability in her family was reflected in her writings and became a recurring theme in the characters and dynamics of Harry Potter, especially in the figure of Harry, an orphaned boy growing up in a hostile environment. J.K. Rowling found an escape in her imagination, writing stories and fantasies from a very young age. She often invented tales to entertain her sister, which marked the beginning of her love for storytelling. Although she was a talented student, her environment wasn't always conducive to the development of her creative abilities. Academic pressure and social expectations weighed heavily on her while she dealt with the emotional burden of her home life. Her relationship with her father was distant and complicated, something that would leave lasting emotional scars. The most devastating moment came when she was in her early 20s. Her mother, Anne, passed away after a long battle with multiple sclerosis. This loss not only shattered Rowling, but also deeply influenced her work. In Harry Potter, themes of loss and the weight of family are a reflection of this pain. The death of parental figures and the characters' struggles to find their place in the world mirror Rowling's internal battles, shaped from an early age. The struggle against poverty and failure. After the loss of her mother in 1990, Joanne Rowling's life took a darker turn. She decided to move to Portugal in hopes of a fresh start, where she worked as an English teacher. It was there that she met her first husband, Jorge Arantes, with whom she had her daughter, Jessica. However, what seemed like an opportunity to build a family turned into a tumultuous and conflict-filled marriage. Following their divorce, Rowling returned to the United Kingdom in 1993 as a single mother, carrying only her young daughter, a suitcase, and the early ideas of what would eventually become Harry Potter. Back in Edinburgh, Rowling found herself in a critical situation. She lived in a small, modest apartment, relying on government benefits to survive. Her financial situation was so dire that there were days she couldn't afford to heat her home, leading her to write in local cafes like the iconic Nicholson's Cafe, where she could nurse a cup of tea for hours and save on heating costs. Surrounded by crumpled papers, with the echo of her daughter crying in the background, she wrote feverishly about a boy living in a cupboard under the stairs. Her dream seemed as distant as magic itself. It was in this context that the first draft of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was born, a reflection of her desperation, but also her hope. No one could have imagined that this woman would go on to change the literary world forever. Persevere and you will triumph. No one believed in her magic. When Rowling finally finished her manuscript, she sent it to numerous publishers, only to face rejection time and time again. 12 publishers said no. One even suggested she find a realistic job. But she didn't give up. Eventually, Bloomsbury agreed to publish her book, partly thanks to the insistence of an editor's 8-year-old daughter, who was captivated by the story. Even then, the Bloomsbury editor advised Rowling to get a steady job, as it would be unlikely for her to make a living writing children's books. Yet Rowling refused to give up. That spark of perseverance was what ultimately transformed her life. However, her initial breakthrough was modest, just £2,500. Rowling was still an unknown author. But the magical world she had created was on the brink of exploding. With the release of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in 1997, Rowling's life changed dramatically. Over time, it not only became a literary phenomenon, but also a multi-billion-dollar franchise. The books were translated into over 80 languages, and the film shattered box office records. But success brought new pressures. Rowling faced constant media scrutiny as they tried to uncover every detail of her personal life. Her anonymity vanished, and the pressure to deliver more books of the same quality became an enormous weight. The second book in the series was a direct continuation of Harry's first year at Hogwarts. Although Rowling had mapped out the general structure of the entire story from the start, she faced intense pressure to replicate the success of her debut. In interviews, she admitted that writing the second book was more challenging than expected, as she had to balance readers' expectations with her own narrative vision. As the series progressed, the pressures and expectations only grew. The final book was the most ambitious and emotionally draining to write. Rowling confessed to crying while finishing key scenes, particularly those involving the deaths of major characters like Snape and Fred Weasley. She meticulously tied up loose ends, showcasing her talent for connecting events from the first book to the last. She also ensured that the conclusion reflected her central message: the importance of love, sacrifice, and fighting for what's right, even in the darkest moments. Looking back, Rowling has described this period as one of the most formative of her life. According to her, failure allowed her to strip away everything unnecessary and focus solely on what truly mattered: her daughter and her writing. This mindset helped her persist when everything seemed stacked against her. The first crack: criticism of her success. Rowling's meteoric rise did not go unnoticed by critics. As Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, some claimed her storytelling was too simple or predictable. Accusations surfaced that she did not sufficiently acknowledge the influence of authors like J.R.R. Tolkien or C.S. Lewis on her work. Others criticized the massive commercialization of her creation, with movies, merchandise, and theme parks transforming the magic of her books into a multi-billion-dollar empire. Critics and former fans accused Rowling of allowing her creation to be exploited commercially, turning it into a consumer product rather than a literary experience. While these criticisms were superficial compared to what was to come, they laid the groundwork for questioning Rowling's integrity as a public figure. Independent writers criticized the cultural monopoly Harry Potter had created, arguing that it overshadowed other quality literary works. Others suggested that Rowling's success was largely due to a favorable cultural and commercial context, downplaying the merit of her individual effort. Once seen as a humble author who had overcome adversity, she began to be viewed by some as a businesswoman capitalizing on the magic of her story at the expense of authenticity. Despite the criticisms, Rowling consistently defended her right to protect and expand her work, arguing that commercialization allowed her to reach more readers and create an immersive experience for her fans. However, these early cracks in her public image would prove to be just the beginning of a long and complicated road filled with debates and controversies. Social philanthropy. Rowling has been widely recognized not only for her literary achievements, but also for her activism and philanthropic work. She has been a strong advocate for social justice, gender equality, and children's rights. Throughout her life, she has donated substantial sums of money to charitable organizations, particularly those focused on combating poverty, mental illness, and child welfare. In 2010, she was named the most influential woman in Britain, a testament to the cultural and social impact she has made. One of the most notable organizations Rowling supports is Lumos, a charitable foundation she founded in 2005. Its mission is to help vulnerable children, particularly those living in orphanages or institutions that often fail to provide the necessary conditions for healthy development. The foundation works to transform the global childcare system, promoting more humane, family-centered alternatives and supporting children's growth in safer and more nurturing environments. The foundation's name is inspired by the light spell from the Harry Potter series, symbolizing hope and illumination in the lives of children. Rowling has also made significant donations to organizations promoting mental health, such as the Samaritans in Mind, two leading charities in the UK that provide support to individuals struggling with mental health challenges. The emotional struggles behind fame. Despite her wealth and fame, the author continued to wrestle with her inner demons. While success transformed her economic and professional reality, it also brought internal battles that profoundly impacted her well-being. Rowling has spoken candidly about her struggles with depression and anxiety, describing how these experiences inspired the creation of the Dementors in her books. Even at the height of her success, she grappled with a persistent fear of failure and the unsettling feeling that she could lose everything. She has openly discussed how managing anxiety and the fear of failure remained a constant challenge, even as the world saw her as an icon of success. In her own words, "I was as poor as it's possible to be in the UK without being homeless. But I still had a daughter I adored, an old typewriter, and a big idea." The price of success also manifested in her personal life. While she found stability in her second marriage, the intense public scrutiny and later controversies surrounding her opinions made her a constant target for criticism. Rowling has shared in interviews how the sudden fame made her feel as though she had lost control over her personal life. Paparazzi and onlookers began to follow her every move, invading her privacy and that of her family. As a result, she became more guarded about her personal life, choosing carefully whom to trust, which led to feelings of isolation at times. She was often expected, sometimes reluctantly, to assume the role of a role model for millions of young and adult readers alike. This meant that every action, statement, or project was scrutinized, magnifying any mistakes or missteps. Over the years, she has faced controversies related to her stance on social issues, adding another layer of emotional complexity to her relationship with fame. Today, J.K. Rowling is one of the richest authors in the world. Her cultural influence is undeniable, having received numerous awards, including the Order of the British Empire and the Prince of Asturias Award. Her work has defined generations, but the road to success was paved with pain, loss, and monumental challenges. For her, success isn't just about wealth, it's about resilience. It's proof that even in the darkest moments, a dream can spark something extraordinary. This serves as a reminder that true success never comes without sacrifices. But perhaps, much like Harry facing Voldemort, Rowling shows us that even in the darkest battles, light always finds a way to shine. This is the price of success for J.K. Rowling, the creator of Harry Potter. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments which celebrity you'd like to learn about next.